that phone call. The woman behind the counter was like, oh, your phone call was $66. That's crazy. That would only be reasonable if that's how much it cost the day after they invented the phone. You'd be like, yeah, it sounds like magic. I would absolutely try your wizard machine. I will also throw in my firstborn son. That's crazy. If a hotel wants to make money that badly, then they should just charge to like use the bathroom in your own hotel room. You know, I've certainly been in a situation where I really need to use a bathroom and I'll go into a business and they'll be like, I'm sorry, it's for customers only. And I'll be like, fine, I'll have a Honda Civic. Every fall, I go to Provincetown in Massachusetts on Cape Cod with a bunch of friends from college. Yeah, you're welcome. And if you don't know, Provincetown is very, very Boston-y, and it's also very, very gay. And I heard maybe the best accent I've ever heard in my life, which is a guy whose accent was 60% Boston and 40% gay. And he just kind of went, I don't have a fucking windbreaker away on my whale watch. I was like, you're perfect, sir. I wanted to like shrink him and put him in my pocket so that anytime I felt sadness, I could open it up and he'd just be like, I'm gonna make a kale salad with cranberries. Wanted to have like a child and move to another country so he could be an au pair. I did a show in Northampton, Massachusetts, and there was like an article in a local paper about it, and they interviewed one of the comics on the show, but they misquoted him. He had said that comedy is tragedy plus time, which is like a very popular thing to say, but they had quoted him as saying comedy is tragedy plus timing. That is a radically different idea. Comedy is tragedy plus time is like, in World War I, they used to use mustard gas, and now that's something you get at a deli. Comedy is tragedy plus timing is the idea that yesterday I found out that my friend got Lou Gehrig's disease. A lot of people ask me if I try jokes out on Twitter, and I don't, but I do try them out on LinkedIn. That is a very dumb thing to say, but a lot of fun. I was in Austin at the airport, and I was buying a neck pillow, and the guy at the counter was like, if you get one neck pillow, it's $17.99, but if you get two, it's only $20.99. I was like, oh, I would totally do that if I had two necks. The guy behind the counter laughed, the guy behind me laughed, and he'd like never heard a joke. He was like, what do you call what you just did? He was blown away. I love Game of Thrones, and yeah, I am just like you. We have the same culture. Did you know that Khaleesi is becoming a really popular baby name? Like more popular than like Betsy, which is moderately popular, but at least that's a name. You know, but I do love Game of Thrones, and I was thinking that maybe if I had like a little boy, I would, maybe I would name him like Black Vagina Fog. And that is my Game of Thrones joke. Where we record Bob's Burgers, I'm gonna just name things. Where we recorded on this, I think we share, the floor is shared with like a computer company or something, and in the bathroom is a sign that tells you to not pee everywhere, and if you do, clean it up, which I always think is really funny, as if like that's a thing a person wouldn't know. Like I get if that was like in a kindergarten room, but this is all, anyway. And then also at a lot of restaurants, as you know, in the bathroom it'll say like, there'll be a sign that says like employees must wash hands. And I always wanted to add, they made me want to really add signs to restaurant bathrooms. But if I just put a sign there, I know that people would just think a person put a sign there. And I was sort of like, what would make it seem like official? And I decided that line was lamination. You know, if you laminate a sign and nobody thinks somebody'd buy a laminating machine as a joke. So I bought a laminating machine. And I've been going around New York City and adding signs, just, a pretty official looking sign underneath the regular sign. And here's just some of the signs I've been putting up. Please do not flush socks down toilet. Please wash feet before returning to work. Do not use your cell phone ever again. Walk out of here crying and ask for a lawyer. Divorce is not an option. It's normal to feel Jewish, even if you're not. Your child is being raised wrong. And then lastly, there are officially no more snakes here. Thank you. Nobody would have thought there were snakes. They must be terrified that there are officially none. I rented a car, and I got into a car accident on the highway with a semi-truck. Yeah, I know, I had that exact reaction. The good news is I got into the accident at about 7 miles an hour. So I was getting into a lane, and I thought I was in a lane, and then the truck absolutely disagreed, and it hit me, and then we both pulled over, and we were both shaken, and the guy got out, and he was furious, and he started yelling, like, "You cut me off, and look where you're going!" And I disagreed with him, but I wasn't going to match his energy, and he's, like, yelling, like, "You cut me off!" And then I just look at him, and I go, "No." He was terrified. He's like, "I don't know what you're doing, but I do not like it." I was like, should we exchange information? And his favorite restaurant is Panera. He went to his truck and got like a binder with everything that I needed, and then I went to the glove compartment of my rental car and sort of started looking through like a kitty cat. Like I was like, I don't know what a. And then I was just like pulling things out and like showing them to, like I was like I might as well have taken out like shoelaces and wet chicken and been like, "Is this what you need? Is this at all helpful? I don't know what we're looking for. I don't see anything." And he's definitely like, "Hey, how'd you get a car?" And I called the rental car company, and they're like, your rental agreement is your registration. I'm like, great, and I give it to him, and we exchange everything, and then a policeman comes, and he's really nice, and he fills out a police report, and then I think the guy who owns the truck company comes, and he's like a super muscular Danny DeVito, and that's good, and then I leave. I asked the policeman if I could go. I didn't just go like, "I'm an artist, and this is boring." I was like, "Can I go?" And he's like, "Sure." And a few weeks later, the rental car company called me to go through everything. They asked like 30, 40 questions. The last 2 questions are, were you under the influence, and were you distracted? And I couldn't help myself, because I was like, well, I don't know if it would matter, but I had taken PCP, and I was experiencing a loss of ego boundaries, and I was also watching Backdraft. Do you think somewhere there's a recording of that? That's a thing that happened. I do get a lot of emails. I get a lot of emails asking people asking me to join either LinkedIn or recommend them. I know it's not a dating site, but it could. No. So I get a lot of things asking me to be on LinkedIn, and I was finally like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a resume. And did you know? So I made one that you can write anything you want, like anything, and there's nothing checks it. Like, for instance, I made a profile that's me, and my job is, as you know, I'm the senior VP of PP at Verizon. And it kind of goes like, do you mean the telecommunications company? I'm like, yep, tag it. I don't think Verizon searches, because I'm still the senior VP of PP. The only jobs that I'm approached about are other VP positions in New York City. And then it's sort of like, tell me about your job experience. And and I'm like, oh, well, I am passionately opposed to sex in bathrooms in the workplace. I don't think it should happen unless both parties agree on it. I guess I'm simply against sexual assault in bathrooms. I'm on the right side of that issue. Just if there's any question. You can also write in what you did previously, and I wrote that my job beforehand was that I was the holy fuck shit, oh no, at CNN. You write then your skills. My skills are marketing, right? My next skill is surgery. That's a guy you want on your side. Another skill I have is that I'm bi-curious curious. So sort of like if you're bi-curious, I'm like, tell me how that, what is that like? To be interested, tell me about that experience. Another thing I do pretty well is wolf toss. So like, if there was like the job, if there was like a wolf that was asleep, I wouldn't throw it because I'm not a fucking idiot. But I definitely gently toss the wolf. And then lastly, my last skill is I can tell if someone is telling the truth by drowning them. So I realized I put my birthday as January 1st, 1905. That's a guy with experience. He maybe is good at surgery. He could drain your humors. Weirdly, at the bottom, instead of it saying, like, contact information, it just says, advice for contacting Eugene. Like, it would just be like, well, have you tried his mom? She can always get through. I just wrote, cut a message in a cornfield, take a picture, and stand outside in the crowd at Good Morning America. Thank you. Thanks. I made a pretty sweet zine. So I cut up a bunch of things and like, you know, pasted it, and then I went to Kinko's to try to make some copies. Went to a copy place, and I was like, hey, can you make, like, I don't know, like 100 or 200 copies on colored paper for tomorrow? And I thought that was a pretty reasonable question. And then they, to my surprise, were like, we don't have that kind of paper in stock! Corporate doesn't let us have that kind of paper! I was so taken aback. They acted like I went into the Kinko's and was like, who here can land a plane? None of them can. Around Jewish high holidays in New York, there's a lot of Jews on the streets that are dressed as kind of like Gandalf the Sad. And if you're Jewish, when you pass them, they get very excited and they're like, are you Jewish? Because they want to cast a spell and do a thing. And I always, you know, I have this conflict where like I don't want to talk to them, but I also don't want to lie to them because I don't want to feel because I feel the weight of like thousands of years of ancestors being like, really, you went through all this, and you won't even just be like, oh no, I'm Greek, bye. Get so anxious, and I was in downtown Brooklyn. I was walking to Guitar Center, and I passed these two very sad Gandalfs, and their eyes light up, and they're like, "Are you Jewish?" And I start like getting so anxious, and I don't know what to say, and I just go like, "Yes, but you don't know how Jewish. I just almost killed my son on a mountaintop." We kind of both agreed, like, I didn't lie, but no need to keep talking to me. And I went on and I went to Guitar Center, and when you get there, they take your bag from you because they're afraid you'll steal guitars in your canvas bag. And the guy like took my bag and he's like, oh my God, you're on Adult Swim, you're on Delocated. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I love that show. And I'm like, thank you. And I go in and I get whatever cable I'm getting. And then when I'm leaving, he gives me back my bag and he goes, you know, we actually get a lot of celebrities here. And I was like, oh, he's going to be like, this is the store that Slash comes to buy ropes to tie up his balls so he can come. And I'm like, yeah, tell me that story. And he's like, yeah, you know who else comes here? He's a guy who plays like a kid on a cartoon on Fox about a family that runs like a burger place. Plays like I'm just sort of staring at him and I'm like, do you mean me? And he's like, oh yeah, it's still just you. You still come here sometimes. I was at a street fair in Brooklyn, and I passed this lady who was handing out these cards that I think I have one. Yeah, it's a get out of hell free. I got super excited, and I was like, oh, can I have some? She gave me like 2 or 3, and then I took them, and I went, now I can murder someone! And she looked at me, and she kind of went like, yes. Oh my God, you're terrifying. He's like, that's not why we're here, but that is a perk. I signed up for Christian Mingle, even though I am Jewish and engaged. And when you sign up for Christian Mingle right away, they're like, hey, don't use your real name, use a screen name. And I was like, okay, I'm Princess Thunderballs. And within like 20, 30 minutes, I was locked out of the account. And they were like, Princess Thunderballs, sir, you're not allowed to find love. Fair enough, Christian Mingle. But they sold or shared my name with Believe.com, and Believe.com has none of those limitations. They email me all the time, and you can't unsubscribe. You have to to unsubscribe, you have to write it on a shoe while you want to leave and mail it to them, and then they get it, they're like, not good enough. And they send me all sorts of stuff, and one of the best things they send me is this thing called I'll show it to you. This thing they send me called Ask a Pastor, where this very lovely pastor, you can go online and ask him anything. You don't even have to log into your account. You can just go and ask him a question. And so often now when I get home after a show, I'll just kind of log on and be like, here's a question for you, Mr. Pastor. And so here's just some of the questions I've asked this lovely pastor. What's a nice way to get out of a marriage with someone you don't know well that you met at a bus stop / casino? My wife is always gossiping about this and that, and it drives me crazy. Is it okay to start having sex with men as long as they can keep a secret? I know God says it's okay to judge people because of their race. That's it, just kind of a fun fact. Why am I not allowed to use the bathroom at my friend Max's house? Hey man, I sometimes have doubts. Not sure about what though, and that's kind of the problem. I like to think of my ding-dong as a police baton. Any advice? Last one. I believe I am the father of a child, and so does my friend. What's a good way to resolve this? He suggested that we cut the baby in half, but I think a paternity test makes more sense. I don't just want part of a dead baby like some other Jewish parents. Does the Bible have any advice on this situation? I imagine he's like, it literally does come up. Here's a thing that happens to me a lot now, which is when I am in a store, people assume I work at that store. And it is across all stores. I was in Milwaukee at the public market in a spice shop, and a lady pointed at Himalayan salts, at slabs and salt, and she was like, oh, what do you do with that? And I was like, oh, you can grill on it. And she's like, oh, is this like a substitute for salt? And I'm like, no, it's Himalayan salt is a salt. It's often thought of as the purest salt. And she's like, oh, how much is it? And I'm like, I wanted to be like, you can have everything for $16. It's like, I shouldn't answer. But the time that it happened that was the best was last summer. I was in a shoe store in Rome, in Italy, and it was like if Foot Locker just sold discount dress shoes, whatever that is, that store. And I was there, and this lady came up to me and she starts pointing at shoes, and in Italian, I think asking about the shoes, but pointing at them and speaking Italian. And I don't speak Italian. I don't know how to say I don't speak Italian. I'd say it in English very well, in Russian also quite well, but in Italian not at all. And so I looked at her as she's asking me, and I'm just like, I don't speak Italian. And then, to my surprise, she switches to English and goes, oh, how much is this shoe? She's like, I get that you don't speak Italian, but you definitely work at the shoe store. There's no version where you don't work here. Just look at you, you work at the shoe store. Oh yeah, I'm going to show you a thing. The only time it made sense. The only time it was reasonable was this last November, where somebody thought I worked at the place I was at, was because I was at Marriott in Costa Rica, and I bought a shirt at that Marriott, and then I put it on right away. And then I walked around, and everybody, including the employees, clearly thought I owned that Marriott. Because everybody kept asking me either how to get places or if everything was all right. So that was worth it. I'm going to hide this now. Yep. That's a shirt I have that I can never wear anywhere because it's a Marriott golf shirt. Well, I guess if I was hoping to have sex in college. Facebook did a thing where they charged $100 to send a message to Mark Zuckerberg. They were testing out a way to message celebrities. Who here would spend $100 to send a message to Mark Zuckerberg? So you wouldn't? Anybody would you spend $100 to send a message to anybody on Facebook? You would, yeah, because you could write anything. That's how I see it. So sadly, you can't spend the money yet, but to message people. But I love that idea. And so there's two different kinds of celebrities on Facebook. There's some that you can like and some that you can message. Here's one that you can like. You can like Harrison Ford, but you can't be like, Harrison Ford, I think that Han Solo would win in an armor. Like, he doesn't want to hear any. You can just like him and then walk away. Someone with a very similar style is Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. You can like him, but you can't be like, Mahmoud, I have some suggestions for you. He'd be like, I'm not even in charge anymore. We don't care, Mahmoud. You're the only one we can remember. Mahmoud weirdly has 40,899 likes. I would get it if Mahmoud had 10 million likes, or if he had like 2 likes, and his parents were like, he's still our Mahmoud. But there are some celebrities on Facebook that you can like and message. This is one, Val Kilmer. You can like and message, yeah. And so I did. Here's the message I sent Val. Hey Val, I put my dick in peanut butter. Haha, great job in Top Gun, bye-bye. Eugene. P.S. Please send nude pics. I would definitely pay $100 to know that Val Kilmer was like, fine, click. Another person you can like and message is John Boehner. Yeah, that's the right reaction. It's good that you can message him, and so I did. And I would so pay $100 to know that he sat and read it. And here's the message I wrote John. Hey John, my name is Eugene Mirman, and I do the voice of Gene on Fox's Bob's Burgers. I imagine your job must be super hard, and that people are blaming you for things when you're just trying to do the best you can. If you ever want to take LSD together, I can try to find some. I only did it once 20 years ago after a Lou Reed concert, but I think it'd be fun. Do you want to go on a road trip together sometime? If driving across the country with a stranger makes you nervous, I'm happy to go on horseback. That way, if you feel uncomfortable, you can gallop away. No hard feelings. Any questions so far? You know, very sadly, no. Same with the pastor. I specifically wrote in my email, there's a real place, and then nothing. But no, John Boehner probably loves me but can't tell me that. He's probably like, this guy gets me. I'm not a square. I love the VU. Did I get your message? Oh. Oh.
It's a picture of a different man, real buff, mosquitoes just posing.
Yeah. So for those of you who couldn't hear, his message is, did you get my message? I sent it to you on Facebook. It's this morning. It said, I'm gonna smell you real good. And then the profile picture is of a taut man in his underwear. And you know why I'm describing it so accurately? I did get your message, you fucking lunatic. Yeah. And, first of all, thanks. I feel like the chances of you getting to smell me real good are not likely. I think smell the essence of the theater, maybe. Anyway, well, thank you for your message. That's really kind of you. And I hope you never go to prison or do anything that is against the government's rules with people. See? And then if you could pay money, you'd definitely reach. I look at this. Anyway, great. I'm glad I asked. Yes, sir?
I hear you recently came across good advice if someone wants to cut your illegitimate child in half, so what do I do in that case?
What would I do if someone asked me to cut their baby in half? I guess honestly it would depend on their religion. Like if it's a Buddhist baby, cut that shit in half. No, I would probably say, like, don't cut your baby in half. But draw a line, or like put masking tape down your baby, and then be like, this half of the baby's mine, and this half of the baby's yours. And then definitely raise it for its entire life with masking tape on it, and like bitterly fight over how it's groomed and everything. That's my advice, but I don't have any children. And I believe it is legal to put masking tape on a baby, but it is illegal to cut it. You see where I come in? I'm really like, I love the law. What? Yeah, I don't believe in hell, but I do believe in jail if you cut a person. Nobody stands up in court and goes, no big deal, I'm gonna be in heaven. Few trials end that way because of how no fun prison is. If Oz is even 40% accurate. Never seen it, imagine it's terrifying. Any other questions? Whoa, a lot of questions. We'll get to both of you. Let's start with you. Why don't I charge people to message me? One, because I'm an angel. I don't know that I would get the money. But I think that if it cost like $3 to message me, it would be a bummer for all of us. Like, I'd be a monster with a taco, but a monster. I think if people knew it was like for a taco fund, then they'd be like, this guy's good. I don't know who gets the money. So that's the answer to that. And I would never charge. I would just not read a message. But I wouldn't accept money to read it. That sounds exhausting. And then from over here, there was a question? No nude pics. Sorry? I don't even try to accept nude pics, let alone send them. And then would I reply to messages? I do on occasion reply to messages, sure. But I don't want it to get out there, so I wouldn't want to, I don't know, say that on a TV special or anything. So hopefully this whole part will be just you beeped completely and then me beeped completely, and like, I wonder what they said, but he seems so friendly. I replied to you. Yeah, right? See, that's proof. I'll write Robin Hood back. Great. You probably said something really normal. You probably were like, I like your stuff and you're a nice person, and I was like, you're a nice person, thanks, right? Yeah, if you write like, I'm crazy, I want to wash your shoes, you will never hear from me. Like, but if you write like, hey, thanks, the thing that you said that was funny made me happy, I'd be like, thank you. Because I'm, what do you call it, normal. I want to start a relationship online with a lunatic, and by relationship, I mean any interaction. One more question and then more stories. Anybody? What's Neil deGrasse Tyson like? He is as soft as a unicorn. And as smart as a million bumblebees. The amount he knows is like, it's suspicious. It's like, yeah, he's really sweet and very, very, no, it's not, no, he's too warm and generous as a person to be a robot. I think you yelled to see a robot, otherwise what I said is just weird. Yeah, no, Neil is great. He's like very sweet and knowledgeable to a fault. No. Knowledgeable in an amazing way. All right, more jokey stories. Great. I went last year to a music festival in Mexico that is hosted by Peter Buck, the guitarist of REM. And yeah, I do things. And I'd never been to Mexico, and the festival happens it's in the Baja Peninsula, it's in the small town that's very lovely, and it happens literally at the Hotel California, which I think if you work there must be exhausting, because people probably, every time they arrive, they must be like, so I can check out any time I like? And then the staff has to be like, no, it's at noon. And then they bite down on a cyanide capsule and kill themselves, and a new staff is hired every morning. The first night that I was there, I went to this concert on a beach, and I ate a wasp. Just right away, ate a wasp. It was in a taco. I didn't, find a wasp on the ground. And the taco they were serving, I didn't find the taco on the ground either. It was very... So I bit this taco, and I was like, this taco really hurts. And I started looking in the taco, because I was like, I wonder what hurts so much in this taco. And, I didn't know what I thought I would find. I'd find, tiny Nicolas Cage and be like, what are you doing in my taco? Shouldn't you be making weird career decisions? But I found a wasp, and I've never been like so relieved to be like, oh, thank God, just a wasp stung my face. Everything's fine. As my face swells. But the thing that happened that was super crazy was the last night of the festival. The town's really small. It's like the downtown's like 5 blocks by 5 blocks. And after the festival, a bunch of people went from the concert to Peter Buck's house around the corner. And I found myself at 3 in the morning walking down this dirt road just 2 blocks to my hotel with Michael Stipe. And we were just walking and sharing recipes and, you know, goofing around. And I was teaching him Krav Maga. And we were walking, and about 30 feet from the entrance to our hotel, in pitch black night, 3 in the morning, all of a sudden this SUV screeches out of an alleyway and stops in front of us, and 2 Mexican policemen jumped out and started screaming at me and Michael Stipe in Spanish. I don't speak any Spanish. They spoke excellent Spanish. They're pointing at us and pointing at the SUV, and we don't really know. We know we've done nothing wrong. We know we don't want to go on a whale watch. We don't know. And we sort of look at each other and keep walking towards the hotel, and then they put Michael Stipe's arm behind his back like he's a criminal. Not like he wrote Everybody Hurts, but like a criminal. And they put his hands on the SUV, and they start emptying his pockets, and I'm at this point staring at my phone, mildly terrified, wondering who I could call. I can't call the police. They're already helping. Maybe I could call John Hodgman. He would know what to do. They put my hands on the SUV, and they start emptying my pockets. This is when I wish that I had put Brie, just like not even in cellophane, just Brie in all my pockets, just so when they reached in, they pulled out their hands all wet and sticky. They're just like, you fuck with the wrong American, you fuck with the cheese man. And start emptying stuff. They found a pill of Imodium AD that I was bringing to a friend, and they start waving it in front of me like they had uncovered a plot to kill the president. And they confiscated it. I hope they took it right before they went to a party and still have never shit. They also took out my wallet, and they did what I can only describe as just the shittiest close-up magic that I've ever seen, where they're just doing this. And at this point, Michael Stipe's on his phone, and he manages to text help to Peter Buck's wife. And it autocorrects to, hello. Hi, Michael. Thought you were going to sleep. And finally, they let us put everything in our pockets. And then the whole time, they're only speaking Spanish and like pointing. And then finally, they like break into English. But it's something weird where they're just like, okay, well, have fun in Mexico and check out The Wire. It's a very good series. And like, you're just like, wait, what? And then they jump in the SUV and they screech off just like normal policemen would. And we're walking back to the hotel, relieved and terrified. And I look at my wallet and I realize they left all the American money, but they stole 1,000 pesos. They stole about $100. I was like, oh my God, that was just like a really great mugging. What a super like low key, nobody got hurt, really just lovely mugging. And the next morning I called my girlfriend and I was like, so last night at 3 in the morning, I was mugged by the Mexican police with Michael Stipe, and they stole $100. And then she just kind of pauses and goes, that story sounds like it's worth about $100. Fair enough. So last summer, I went to Portsmouth, New Hampshire with my girlfriend. It's a lovely sort of seaside town, and we went and we rented a car and we parked it in a parking garage, and we got a little ticket that you put in the dashboard, and we did everything. We walked around, and then when we got back to the car, I saw there was like a ticket on the windshield, and I was like, what? Like, how could I have parked wrong? Like, I was so baffled. I was like, what could this possibly be for? And I looked at the ticket when I got there, and the violation was parked in wrong direction. Agreed. So we had backed the car up into the spot, which apparently in New Hampshire is quite illegal. And I looked at like the thing that we put in the dashboard to see if there was any way we could have known this. And the ticket says, this ticket permits you to park in accordance with the regulations. I think we all know what those are. Who doesn't know the regulations in Portsmouth, New Hampshire? This ticket must be displayed clearly on your vehicle dashboard and the vehicle parked correctly. 2 opportunities to say, like, they mean don't back up into a spot, because nobody would park across 3 spots, spray paint, fuck you on it, and walk away. So they literally mean don't back up, but they don't say it twice. I became furious. The ticket was $15. I paid it right away. But I was like, these people are thieves, they're criminals. I was so bad at them, because there'd be no way to know this law. And I was like, I wonder how I could let Portsmouth know how disappointed I am in them. And so we had spent the day walking around using this lovely harbor guide full of, ads for seafood places and whatnot. And I was like, maybe I can take out a full-page ad with a letter to them that would be there for the year. So this is run by the Chamber of Commerce. And I reached out to them and I was like, I'd love to take out a full-page ad. It's a letter to your city about a ticket I got. And they were literally like, yes, let's do it. In the email, #fearless. They're like, we'll publish your letter. I sent them the letter. Next day, hey, we can't publish. We'll lose all the other advertising. And I was like, but I really want to let everybody know. So there's another independent guide that's much bigger. It's distributed there, their summer guide. Both are for the run of the year. They're all summer. So it's for the whole time. And I emailed them and I was like, will you run my letter to your city about how mad I am at the parking there? And they were like, yes. So this summer there will be a full-page ad along with restaurant recommendations of why I am mad at the city of Portsmouth. And this is the letter that will be a full-page ad for the entire summer. As people are like, ooh, that looks like a good lobster place. Ooh, this comedian is quite mad about a ticket. Is willing to pay 100 times that ticket. Anyway, here's the letter that will run. Dear Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and especially the parking clerk's office. Last June, I had a wonderful day walking around in your historic downtown with my girlfriend. I bought 2 puppets who turned out to be gay. Just kidding, they're puppets. We stopped in cute shops, ate a popover, and saw Black David Cross. It was nice. Then when we returned to our car, on my windshield was a ticket. What could this possibly be for, I thought. I paid for 3 hours of parking, but only used 2. You're welcome, Portsmouth. Is it a crime in Portsmouth to not use all the parking you bought? How do you know I'd be back early? Do you have a pre-crime division? Why are your precogs working on traffic tickets? Shouldn't they be out preventing street performers before they happen? But no, I read the violation. We backed into a spot and were fined $15 for being, quote, parked in the wrong direction. What kind of a horseshit charge is that? It's illegal to back into a spot? Before I embarrass myself, I just want to make sure that Portsmouth is still inside the United States and not considered a part of Iran. You're probably thinking, well, before visiting Portsmouth like everyone else, you'd simply first gone to the city clerk's office website, clicked on City of Portsmouth Ordinances, and looked in Chapter 7, Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking, right there in Section 7.316. Back to curb. It says no vehicle shall remain backed up to the curb. This is factually accurate information. Similarly, if you had gone to my website before I came to your city and clicked on Eugene's ordinances, you'd know that in Chapter 1 under Fuck You, Don't Steal My Money, in Section 8.215 it says, Fuck You, Don't Steal My Money. Thanks. But even if I had gone to your website, it states that the online ordinances are not an official copy. That for the official ordinances, I have to call 610-7245. Why no area code? Am I calling from a local landline in 1986? But instead, I foolishly looked around for signs, both real and from God. I saw nothing. But I heard God's voice and he said, this is fucking bullshit. You need to write them a letter. Lastly, as you know, New Hampshire's state motto is General John Stark's celebrated quote, live free or die, which he famously said before attempting the first recorded self-BJ. If John Stark was alive today, he would be 287 years old. Also, right after learning about cars, General Stark would then be disgusted to discover Portsmouth doesn't even give people the freedom to back into a spot. which, by your own state's twisted logic, turns my $15 ticket into a fight to the death. With great disappointment, Eugene Mirman. Thanks. Any questions still? How much did it cost? I think it was, it's funny because I'm just trying to figure out the exact, it was like $1,560 or so. Is that a lot or a little? Because, say it again?
It's a free show.
Yeah, but when it gets on television, I'll definitely make at least $1,500, so I'll break even. You would be shocked at the number of things I do where I'm like, I guess it'll break even. Yeah, no, I guess that's, I don't know, to make fun of a city for a whole summer? And really, not even the city. The funny thing is I think I just forgot to mention this. I was there 1 week ago today, and I did this bit, and then that's how, like, I got in touch with everybody to get these ads in their papers. And they had parking is their, like, that's their number one battle. Like, you know how some places are mad at taxes or marriage? New Hampshire only argues about parking. They get their cars, like, booted for $5 tickets. I didn't know. I had struck a chord that is as important. Like, the way abortion is some places, they're like, well, you can't park in the what? They don't care about nothing but parking. Anyway, it was totally worth it. I was so excited I knew that the other people would never let me run the ad, though they wrote me fearless. And I was like, hey, can I pay for this now? Like, I wanted to, like, definitely, and anyways, good. Great part, great. Oh, if you don't know anything about stand-up, always end a bit that does well with just a rambly thing that kind of goes to nowhere, but is mildly informative. So there's a Whole Foods that opened by my house a little while ago, and when a Whole Foods opens, they really try to ingratiate themselves on the community, and they, source locally and all that, but they also tried to really get in with artists and various other sort of things. And one of the things they kept talking about is how they were going to display the artwork of local artists and have all these artist events. And I don't paint, but then when I saw that, I was like, I paint. And I became obsessed with having a gallery show at Whole Foods. And so I made a bunch of paintings that I believe are quite locally themed. And then I got to do it on Seth Meyers, where I was like, here's some paintings, I'd love to display them at Whole Foods. And then Whole Foods very begrudgingly was like, yeah, let's talk about it. And then set a meeting that never quite happened, but I have not given up. My paintings, I only want to display them at Whole Foods. I don't want to be displayed. That's where my art lives. So I made a bunch of paintings and I want to show them to you and get them. So each painting has a title. That I believe is inspired by, where I live and who I am. This is called Gender Neutral Child Learning About the Conflict in Syria. This is a curly-haired 38-year-old with several gay friends ordering kale. Couple under a tree wishing they were biracial. Two bearded authors arguing about whose childhood was worse. Mother breastfeeding a roof goat because it is her right. Thank you. I could really see that right by the broccoli rob. And then lastly, vegan on his way to the complaint store. Thanks. So, I want to do one final thing, and So I filled out a thing online where I became a minister and can marry people in 40 of the 50 states. I don't know which 40, but chances are this is one of them because that's how chances work. So I'm wondering if there's a couple here that's been in a relationship for a long time and would like me to marry them on stage. You guys would? Who else? How long have you been in a relationship? A bit over a year? How serious are you guys? What are you gonna say? It would be really funny if you're like, no, I don't know, we're going through a rough thing. I'd really, like, I love hooking up with strangers at McDonald's, but I do also really love her, so. All right, if you guys are serious, you seem shy in a way that this will be good, and you seem intelligent. Let's do this. You seem nice, you have a great look. Let's get them some microphones. Normally, this is probably the first time I married a couple that have been together for only a year, but I will say this, you seem genuinely in love and genuinely anxious. So here, come over here. There's little X's right there. Each of you can stand on them. We knew we were going to marry someone, we just didn't know who they'd be. Oh, you are flip-flops to your wedding. Wow, okay. All right, well, what are your names?
Sasha?
Sasha? Okay.
Logan?
Logan and Sasha. Shouldn't you be living in Brooklyn? Great. All right. So this is going to be in the classic I do format, where I'll say a vow and you just say I do. Great. I like that you're holding hands. You're both. What do you guys do for a living?
We're both illustration students.
Both illustration students. Oh.
Art school.
And you agree. Okay, he agrees. That is. You answered that adorably terrified. All right. There is, I would put it at 15% chance that this is legally binding. Once they told me that I could do it, I was sort of like, great, never looked into the details. Let's do this, Logan and Sasha.
It's like owning part of the moon.
Say it again?
It's like owning part of the moon.
It's like owning part of the moon? What was the,
It's like you're not really sure if it's legal to do that?
Oh, yeah. I would say that this is more legal than if you bought some of the moon.
Like on a scale
I would
of
say
1
if
to
you
1.
own a little of the moon, you don't own any of the moon.
Oh, okay. There goes
But I like that
Mercedes.
you make fast tangential connections. You couldn't tell me what you did, but when it came time for a moon joke, you were right there. All right. Let's do this, Logan, Sasha. Let's get married. All right, dear friends and family, we are gathered here to witness, like a car accident, the union of Sasha and Logan, who probably love each other very much. In the years they've been together, their love has grown, like a teenager's boner. Confused but excited because of something on the ground that reminded him of breasts. All right, Logan, this is their first vow. You can just say, I do. I promise to love you for a very, very long time.
I do.
Great. Sasha, I promise to let you squeeze my breasts in a way I don't really like, but you seem to enjoy.
I do.
Well, I see I've uncovered a layer of the onion that is Logan. All right, Logan. I promise to ask your permission before I do anything involving your butt.
I do.
Great. Modern man, totally with it. Okay, Sasha. I promise to get mad at you for no reason and then ask you to run errands for me.
I do.
Logan. I promise to bottle up my feelings and get mad at you for hiding things I've actually misplaced.
I do.
Wow, it's like I live with you guys. Okay, Sasha. I promise not to imagine Ryan